share content. So I'm just going to leave us in this gallery view for just a moment while Amanda and I kind of talk for a minute about just who we are and why we're doing this. And then we're going to switch to a PowerPoint presentation that should take about half an hour. And then I wanted to allow about 10 to 15 minutes for us all to discuss our experiences with what we've been using this week. And some of us have been using for longer, of course, but just to make sure that we can put all of this, the educational pieces and the learning pieces into practice. Okay, everybody ready?
Yep.
Okay, so let's share the screen again. Okay, so now everyone should see this PowerPoint, right? That says try and tell essential oils in healthcare.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right. So, okay. Amanda and I are both on this live webinar right now, and we just wanted to share with you to kick this off about why this whole project came to be. And to, I guess, summarize, I'll say that Amanda and I were in Nicaragua at the Natural Doctors International Clinic together in August. And I'm an acupuncturist, and she's been using essential oils for years. And we both heavily rely on these forms of natural medicine in our work with others. And so we found ourselves in this clinic together on a remote island. And it was up to us two to teach several doctors, including a psychologist who heavily worked with trauma and different emotional issues, including naturopathic doctors from Canada, from California, and from Nicaragua, who worked with more physical chief complaints, how to use essential oils. And so they were kind of blown away every single day by what Amanda and I were able to do for patients, not just with my needles as an acupuncturist, but with our use of essential oils. So we were giving every single patient who walked in the clinic not only a visit with the doctor and perhaps acupuncture, perhaps other things on the spot, but we were able to send them home with basically a treatment that they could use every day, which was really, really valuable for them because some of them had traveled several hours to get to the clinic, and some of them wouldn't be able to come back to the clinic for weeks or months. So us being able to give them something to go that they could use on the spot and on their own, and we could teach them in 1 to 2 minutes how to safely and effectively use, it was kind of mind-blowing for all the other physicians who were treating patients and to see us able to do this. So Amanda said, when we get home back to the States, we should teach more doctors how to use essential oils in their practice. And as an acupuncturist, I said, well, Amanda, I'm totally on board with that because I do that already. I love doing that. That's something that I also agree is really, really valuable that we should be spreading the word about. And there's a little bit of resistance because medical doctors are, of course, not trained in school about essential oils. So we found a way to kind of come together and bring together some of the strategies that we used in the clinic in Nicaragua to share this medicine with doctors, to put together this like 12-slide presentation about how everyone here at home in the States can also be integrating this modality into their own practice without a ton of additional training or work on their part. So that's kind of our side of what we're here for and what we're here to do and what we're trying to do and spread back in the States. And then why we've invited those of you who we've invited into this webinar and this trial is different practitioners. So we've invited MDs and DOs and massage therapists and chiropractors, other acupuncturists, you name it, right? Everybody who deals with any sort of patient or any sort of client in any sort of health and wellness fashion. We have nurses on board. So we're just trying to give you some information that you can easily take and easily implement because you are already an expert in fill in the blank, right? You have already been to school. You have already been in different programs. You've done graduate programs, doctorate programs, certificate programs, right? All across the board. You know what you know, and you're good at that. And that's fine. That's wonderful. Nobody here is asking you to switch over from your scope of practice entirely and use essential oils instead. That's definitely not the point. The point is, because you're an expert in these other things, you can just take little bits and pieces of what maybe you might want to do with the oils in your practice. So one of our main goals that, sorry, that flipped too soon. One of our main goals is to try to have people integrate essential oils into their personal lives before they integrate them into their practice. So if you are a provider of any kind, the most important thing that I hear from different medical providers is that they're not comfortable offering options to their patients or clients if they themselves are not really, really comfortable and experienced in those things, right? So by giving you all different options and samples to try, we wanted to make it more accessible for you. Because if you've had this good experience, you might say like, wow, I thought essential oils were just all about smelling good, or I thought they were scents that made people happy because they smelled good. And then you found out, wow, I took one capsule and I slept amazing last night. That's an experience that maybe gives you just a glimpse of what we're going to present today as far as the research goes. Okay, so a lot of people responded back to my original invite to this webinar series, and they said, well, okay, they kind of fell into two categories. The first category was like, I don't know anything about essential oils, and my patients or my clients are asking me about them in my visits, and I don't know what to say. So I will agree to do this and come and learn, because I want to be an informed provider, and I want to know how to adequately answer my patients' questions. So there's some of you that are here because of that. Okay, that's great, and that's fine. Then the other like 50% of you fell into the second option of answers, which was like, I know, I use essential oils. I see them work all the time on my kids, my friends, my family, myself, but I have no idea how to safely and effectively bring those or introduce those into my workplace or my office setting. So there are some of you like that here too, and that's fine too. So what we're going to do tonight is just run through some of the basic safety issues with essential oils, explaining what they are, how they work, and how to safely and effectively use them. And then we'll talk about some specific research just to kind of open the horizons and give you some really hands-on examples of what types of conditions and what types of things you might be easily able to bring essential oils to your clients or patients for, okay? So that's our goals for tonight. This might be a review for some of you, and this might be totally new information for others. So number one is kind of back to basics. What the heck is an essential oil? It is a naturally occurring volatile aromatic compound or molecule, and it's either steam distilled or cold pressed. Those are the two methods of extracting essential oils from plants. And they come from all different parts of plants. So they can come from the leaves, the bark, the twigs, the roots, the flowers. Some of them are more resinous from inside the tree, like frankincense and myrrh, all different parts of the plant. And they're very highly concentrated because of how they are developed or how they're captured from these different parts of the plant. So in summary, essential oils are 100% natural things that already exist in nature. And that will become really apparent in the research and the applications as to how and why our bodies love essential oils. They recognize those molecules and they know what to do with them, okay? And that's why they're so effective. So how do essential oils work? This is actually a picture that Amanda and I were taking a series of pictures in the clinic in Nicaragua for the Natural Doctors International program that we were doing in August. So that's a very recent picture of one of our shelves in the clinic full of essential oils that we were using to treat patients that week. So as I was saying, the body recognizes naturally occurring molecules. So they're not synthetically produced. They're just naturally occurring sacs on different plants, and they serve as that plant's defense system. They serve as a very important component of any natural plant growing in the wild. So when we take those molecules out of those sacs that are on the leaves or the twigs of different plants, those compounds are so powerful, they can cross cell membranes because they have the right fat ratios for our cell membranes. And that makes them really powerful medicine because, as we know, a lot of things that we deal with are bacterial and a lot of things that we deal with are viral. And it's pretty easy for modern Western medicine to treat bacterial issues. I mean, for the most part, there are some more stubborn ones, of course, but we can kill bacteria with antibiotics pretty effectively, with side effects, of course. We won't get into that really tonight, but one of our shortcomings or one of our shortfalls in modern Western pharmaceutical medicine is that we don't have a ton that's really super effective and safe for viruses, right? So the great part about essential oils is that the small size and the naturally occurring structure of the molecules allows them to cross our cell membranes and burrow into the cells where the viruses have also burrowed in and replicated and become really stubborn pathogens in the body. So the essential oils are outside the cells, killing bacteria. They're inside the cells, attenuating viruses. They're very, very broad spectrum and very versatile because of that. So we can use essential oils topically, we can use them aromatically, and we can use them internally, and that's what we'll talk about next. But the great part about them is that it kind of takes out a lot of the hard parts that we have in different medicines, where we might have to go through a lot of waiting and a lot of testing and a lot of trial to see, well, what exactly is that pathogen? What exactly should we use to treat it? We don't have to do that with essential oils because we can pick one essential oil like tea tree or oregano, for example, and we know that that is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, and antiparasitic, broad spectrum. So we can go ahead and start applying oregano or melaleuca tea tree oil to an ear infection without having to know or wait and see if it's viral, bacterial, fungal, etc., right? So that's pretty powerful stuff, and that's why people are using them, and that's why people want to use them more. We don't have to wait. We don't have to give it the old Petri dish wait, okay? We don't have to give it the old kid is miserable in the middle of the night wait. We can just go ahead and start treating and know that it's effective against whichever pathogen it turns out to be. Okay, so how can we use essential oils? There's 3 ways. The first one is aromatically. And aromatic use, I think some people tend to think that's like the wimpy way to use essential oils or the easy way. But it's a lot more than that. It's, I would argue, maybe the most effective way, or it's certainly the most rapid, the fastest acting way to use essential oils is to simply smell them. And that's because those molecules are so small, they're volatile. They're jumping out of the bottle. So if you simply open your little sample oil bottle or your full-size oil bottle, whatever you have, and you take a big whiff of it, you're going to feel that, and it's going to hit your bloodstream in just moments. And that is because of the science or the magic, whatever you want to call it, of the cranial nerve pathway number 1. Okay, cranial nerve number 1, the olfactory pathway. This is going right up into the forebrain, which is sending signals into the amygdala and other areas of the brain that are really responsible for your emotions, your specifically fear-related emotions or memories and trauma, anxiety, those types of emotions. And you're able to affect change in that part of the brain in seconds. So if you treat or if you deal with any sort of psychological issues in your practice, you know that it is really, really difficult to find psychoactive pharmaceutical drugs that are, A, effective, and B, safe, right? We have that. We have that already in nature with essential oils, okay? We have different plant compounds that are already able to cross the blood-brain barrier by you simply just smelling something out of the bottle. You don't even have to use it in any sort of measurable fashion for you to have immediate effects on the brain. So that's an easy way to affect change in moods and emotions. Simply diffusing 5 drops in an essential oil diffuser with some water or taking that smell right out of the bottle will change someone's moods and emotions and arrest those anxious memory feelings of trauma in just seconds. And that's pretty powerful change with no side effects. And it's something that people can do at home or that you can do in your office for them. So aromatic use is not wimpy. That's the thing I want you to take away, okay? Smelling essential oils is not the wussy way of using them. It's a very powerful way of using them. The second way of using them is topically. So you can dilute 1 drop of essential oil in any fatty carrier oil that you happen to have on hand. I like coconut oil. You can also use olive oil, avocado oil, any naturally occurring oil that still has its fatty components. And why do we want fatty components? Because essential oils are actually not oils at all. They're not lipids. So we need to mix them with a lipid, with some sort of fatty carrier oil like olive or coconut, so that it does penetrate the skin better, so that our skin likes fat. It likes to suck fat in. So if we put 1 drop of essential oil, like let's say lavender, with a handful or a teaspoon of coconut oil, And we can rub that all over our shoulders and neck. And that's going to be very relaxing. It's going to absorb right into the bloodstream and give us a nice systemic effect of relaxation and calming. The third way to use essential oils is internally. And internal use of essential oils is something that we're going to talk a lot about because it does pertain to quality and purity and things like that, and safety. But there are essential oils that you can safely and effectively use internally. So in this case, you would just simply take 1 drop of the essential oil, put it in a glass or a ceramic mug, and then fill it with water or hot water and drink it down. Okay, and that's going to give you that nice GI system absorption through your body systemically as well. So we like to use internal use when something is, systemic. So like let's say I have hives all over my body. So I would like to drink lavender so that I have a systemic antihistamine response. Great. Or other internal conditions, like I have an upset stomach. So I would like to put a drop of peppermint oil in my water and drink it and get more of an internal reaction from that essential oil. So when we want to use oils topically, we want to dilute them with fatty carrier oil. When we use essential oils internally, we want to make sure that we're observing all safety regulations, such as not putting them in plastic. We want to put them in glass or ceramic, or stainless steel is another great option. Basically anything but plastic. Let's talk about quality, and we'll kind of get back to that internal use a little bit in a couple minutes too. So I want to break into the research now and really get like hands-on examples of, well, what can these things do and what are some of the great uses that we could start putting into practice? So I'm going to start you out with like a pretty big hard hitter. Okay. This is not like oh, lavender makes me feel relaxed. This is like a really powerful research. Okay. So on PubMed today, as of yesterday or today, there's 23,000 scholarly articles about the effectiveness of essential oils. So it's a very highly researched category of medicine that's not so much talked about in the mainstream, but it exists and it's growing by leaps and bounds. Okay. So lemongrass is one of the more highly studied essential oils. And I've just given you some snippets of the conclusions and the citations of various studies that I pulled together for lemongrass recently in the last year or so. And so the conclusions here, I think, are really what hits home and gets the point across that these are very powerful plant medicines. So for lemongrass in the first study, it says it inhibits the proliferation and survival of several types of cancer cells. And what's interesting is that they looked at it alone and in combination with chemotherapy. And in the combination with chemotherapy treatment, it exerted additive effects on the cell lines which are relatively chemo-resistant. So we're talking about really stubborn cancer cell lines here that are not very responsive to chemotherapy. But when you add lemongrass into the mix, boom, you have a lot of response. And that's amazing, right? The other study here that I have about lemongrass for you tonight is kind of about its effectiveness in a more topical sense with antibacterial, its antibiofilm properties, which are very impressive. So it stands out in the literature for its antimicrobial, insecticide, and antioxidant properties. And it's able to inhibit the formation of biofilm, of some really specifically difficult to manage pathogens. So these are two things, for example, that are found in the World Health Organization list of our biggest problems in the world's healthcare field. These are two things that are really hard to get rid of, okay? We'll see MRSA come up later too, but I mean, staph in general, there are some really sticky strains these days, right? With superbugs. Okay, the next one that I want to give you an example of is more emotional. And this is really important because mental health is becoming more and more of an issue that is finally being talked about in our society. So ylang ylang is a flower. It's from the flower of a plant, and it reverses anxiety. And this was in a study of mice, not in humans, but there are other studies also done in humans, for sure. No worries about that. About regulating different pathways and affecting the brain's serotonin metabolism, reducing the blood plasma levels, and really affecting these different hormones and neurotransmitters in the body that they said could, in conclusion, really end up reversing anxiety in different cases. So that's a really powerful flower right there. Rosemary is an herb that has been used, of course, for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And rosemary is popular around the world, not just in the Mediterranean, but it has different inhibitors that are really, really effective for different issues of the brain and the mind. So memory, especially as an acupuncturist in Chinese medicine, rosemary has the properties of tonifying the brain function and helping with memory. And now we're seeing Western modern medicine and studies show the exact same thing, okay? Treating Alzheimer's disease with rosemary. And that study was done simply by smelling it. Just smell the rosemary essential oil and you have a positive effect on Alzheimer's disease. This is amazing stuff, okay? This is something that can be immediately implemented in assisted living homes, in nursing homes, in hospitals, you name it. Also in testing facilities. When I was studying for board exams, I used to sniff rosemary every day while I was studying and every moment that I was walking in to take my board exams. The On Guard Protective Blend. This is a very specific blend of essential oils that are also well studied on their own. But in this particular blend, we see that it can attenuate influenza virus infection, which is very important, especially as we move into what we call the flu season, which some of us know is not really limited to these months, but people tend to fall ill with it more in these months that we're entering into now. So when we know we have a combination of plant extracts that are effective against influenza, why would we not use that instead of these extremely toxic surface cleaners and hand wipes and hand sanitizers that we know are very much based in carcinogenic elements? We don't need to use those anymore. We have now the research that supports using plant medicine against things like MRSA and influenza. The research is there. It's been there for years. This particular study I included because most of the research I like to present is all within a year, maybe 2 years old, because that's just what the scientific community likes. And I agree with that most of the time. But this one, I thought, this is 9 years old and I'm putting it in here. There are more recent ones, yes. But this has been around for 9 years. We've known this. That's pretty much like a long time in modern medicine research, okay? So that was kind of a point I just wanted to make. Okay, this is not brand new stuff. One of the last essential oil blends that I'll talk about tonight with research is DDR prime, and that stands for damaged DNA renewal and repair. So this is a cellular blend, and it does list all of the essential oil blend is primarily composed of frankincense, sweet orange, litsea, thyme, clove, summer savory, and nioli. So it does list the essential oils there, but it was studied as a blend, okay? And so what this blend was shown to do is kind of mind-blowing stuff. So some of the examples I'm giving you today are more like diffuse ylang-ylang and make yourself feel less anxious, or diffuse rosemary and help your memory. Some of them are more about attenuating influenza, and this one, which is more about, this blend showed significant effects on levels of important biomarkers related to inflammation, immune response, tissue remodeling, and tumor biology, suggesting that this essential oil blend exhibits tumor-specific immune enhancement and modulation of wound healing. Okay, that's powerful stuff, right? This is stuff that our leading oncologist researchers are looking for. And we have found that essential oils can do that. I think this is the last one. Yeah, we're into the last two now. And these are not essential oils specifically. These are different kind of special case studies, okay? So this one was a two-month supplementation study of what's called the Lifelong Vitality Supplement Trio. And this is a combination of 3 bottles of supplements. I'm going to just make sure you can see what's in them. So the first one is a cellular longevity blend of herbs. The second one is a blend of omegas, omega complexes with essential oils. And that's the key here. And the third bottle is vitamins and minerals. So when taken together for 2 months, all of these things were improved, significantly improved HDL, LDL-HDL ratio, fasting insulin, homocysteine, serum vitamin E, EPA, and the AA-EPA ratio, which deals with omegas. So all of these things were improved. Also, if you can read the fine print summary over there, which I will do for you because I know that's difficult, but participants reported mental clarity, energy, motivation, control, balance, and happiness, reported less back pain, muscle pain, cold and flu incidents, anxiety, frustration, and irritation. Talk about powerful supplementation, right, in only 60 days. And why do we think this is so effective? It's not only because these supplements are 100% sourced from naturally occurring things like plants, minerals, animals, no synthetics like most of the vitamins you can buy at the store these days, but also because they contain specific essential oils that help the body absorb all of the other nutrients that are coming to flood it, okay? So when we talked very early on about how the essential oils can cross the blood-brain barrier and they can cross the cell membranes, that's why these supplements are so effective. They are so much more bioavailable to the body than any other supplements I've ever seen in research. Okay, and that's why, for example, not to be crude, but you will not have neon colored urine if you take these supplements because you're not wasting them in your urine, you are absorbing all of them. So that was impressive. And then the very last one that I'll show you is another special case, and it is 30 days of diffusing. And this was done at Vanderbilt in a nursing unit, okay, on a nursing floor. And they, the specific nursing department decided that they didn't have a very good rating of stress and overwhelm and feeling optimal for their patient care. So they were going to do something about it, and they signed up for this trial. So for 30 days on this floor in the hospital, they diffused citrus oils. So they kind of rotated between different citruses, grapefruit, lime, orange, and a blend of all the above. And they looked at the nursing staff before and after 30 days of diffusing these citrus oils on their ward. So nurses that said they felt stressed often went from 41% down to 3%. Nurses who said they felt overwhelmed at work went from 25% down to 2%. Nurses who said they had optimal energy beforehand, only 1/3 of them did. Afterwards, 2/3 of them did, right? So it's a huge change in their effectiveness for treating patients and for their overall patient care. So Vanderbilt was very excited about this, and they said immediately, we have enough research, we are implementing essential oils throughout this hospital. No problem. Okay, so when we talk about essential oils, a lot of times people will say to me like, well, I tried one, it didn't work. Or I tried one and it gave me a headache. And so my original thoughts years and years ago were, oh, that's too bad. I guess it doesn't work. But now, after many years of in-depth research into various essential oil companies, into all the types of testing that's possible to do on essential oils, joining different chemistry groups and watching them engage in a variety of third-party testing of so many brands of essential oils, now I know I have a different response. My response is usually, well, where did you get the essential oil? What kind was it? And 9 times out of 10 or more, the answer will be, oh, I got it at Walgreens, or oh, I got it at Whole Foods, or something like that. And I'm telling you, I'll be the first one to tell you that I have seen so many of those oils fail in these third-party chemistry testing trials for synthetic additives, for pesticide residues, for completely the wrong species that's supposed to be on the label being actually in the bottle. For dilution, that's huge. If you can get a bottle of frankincense and it's $7, there's not a lot of frankincense in that bottle, I hate to tell you. So there's a lot of things that we can use generally to kind of assess the quality, the purity, and the potency of essential oils. But what I found after years of looking into different companies is that doTERRA is the best, and that's across the board. They have more testing on every single bottle of essential oil than any other company by far. A lot of people ask me, why don't you make sure that you're using organic oils, Julie? Doesn't that bother you? You eat organic. Why don't you use organic label essential oils? And I looked into that, believe me, because I love eating organic food. Believe me, I don't like genetically modified things. I don't like pesticides. I don't like artificial hormones or added hormones or artificial colors and flavors and anything that I consume if I can help it. So what I found was the USDA certified organic label is not very important, actually. What it does is it a farmer hires a third-party certifier and pays them to agree with them that they didn't use synthetic pesticides, genetically modified materials, and about 3 other things that have to do with irradiation and sludge for fertilizer and things like that. There is a huge amount of fraud in that entire process, first of all. And secondly, it doesn't really apply to doTERRA's essential oils because they don't source their oils in the United States. And the USDA certified organic label only pertains to things that were grown or things that were produced in the United States or sold in the United States. So doTERRA has these co-impact sourcing projects that go along with partnerships in 44 countries around the world. And 90-some% of those are what's called one-on-one, which means that the farmers that doTERRA is working with to source their oils, they're not selling their oils to anyone else. So any other company that ever says that they have as good of quality of essential oils as doTERRA are usually lying. There are 9% of them that might be getting them from the same farm, but other than that, it's impossible. Then doTERRA goes ahead and does 8 to 9 levels of testing on every single bottle of oil that you're ever getting. And what's super fun is actually going to the website and putting in the lot number from the bottom of your bottle into the quality ID box on the practitioner site is one of the areas that you can do that. And then it actually gives you every single report that was done on that particular bottle of essential oil that you got. So it tells you what farm it came from, every GMS report that was run on it, every chemical constituent, and what percentage is what. So it can immediately tell you, is there any synthetic adulteration done to that bottle of oil that you're holding in your hand right now? Yes or no, and what kind of evidence they have basically to back that up. So the practitioner's website gives us a nice summary of why all research that's being done, all medical partnerships that are being done in the United States right now and around the world, especially in Europe, are only being done with doTERRA's oils, okay? And that should tell you a huge important thing about which oils you would feel comfortable with and use in patient care. doTERRA has over 100 partnerships with universities and hospitals and research, especially research universities and clinics around the world that will only use doTERRA oils because in their testing, they're the only oils that hold up across the board for purity and potency. Very important, okay? So that's why in practice now today, I only use doTERRA oils. And again, that's been a several-year process. There's a lot of oils that I've tried over the years. There are a lot of smaller companies that I tried using and simply just didn't really hold up to what doTERRA could do for me for oils. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. But that's a fun website if you want to go to Source to You and learn about different farms and how oils are sourced. In my program, in the Oriental Medicine program, the very first class I had in herbal medicine was my professor telling me that it's very important that your herbs are sourced in their indigenous environments. And if the herbs are not sourced in their indigenous environments, they will be cross-pollinated by different plants. They will grow up in different soil acidity, and they will in turn have different therapeutic properties. And then when you use your herbs, they won't have the same effects. So that stuck with me, okay? And so when I was choosing essential oils to use originally, that was why I chose to look into doTERRA that much, because they're the only company that sources every single oil from its native environment. And it does so in a very sustainable way. As an anthropologist, the very first thing I looked up was, oh my gosh, how are they making sure that this is sustainable? And then, of course, looked into their Co-Impact and Healing Hands Foundation and saw that they were absolutely liberating and lifting up different communities and paying them fair wages and eliminating all the middlemen that were problematic in different fragrance industries around the world. So once you have your oils and you know which ones are safe to use and you know which ones are going to be pure and potent every single time you use them, and you know the 3 ways that you can use them, you want to know exactly what to do and how to start using them with yourself and with patients, right? So that's why we did a try and tell. I would like everyone, if you're on right now, to, and I've received a couple messages of people who can't seem to get into the meeting, so I'll have to meet with them afterwards. But those of you who are here and who can do it, make sure that you have a microphone if you have it. And let me make sure everyone who's here is a panel participant. Okay, so experiencing them yourself is number one. Now, I would like to hear if anyone would like to share how you use your samples, or if you had any thoughts on the effectiveness of the samples that you were given. So if anyone has their microphone on, you can go ahead and start. Anybody?
I tried the, this is Christy, I tried the Digest, and somewhat familiar with essential oils, but really kind of exactly what you were explaining, Julie. A lot of my patients were asking about them, and so really want to dive deeper into getting to know more about them. And I tried the Digest. I have some mild symptoms of a hiatal hernia that seem to be causing some issues, and I've been applying that the last couple nights, and I'm actually really surprised with how much it helps with some of the digestive complaints. I was, I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't really have any expectations, but was pleasantly surprised how well it helped and how quickly it helped.
Good. Yeah. And that's really kind of like, again, I hate to use the word magic because it's really science, but that's kind of
right.
the magic of the essential oils, is that these are things that are going to be effective within seconds or minutes, not days, and that's a great example that you just gave, like going in with no expectations, but just being open to the idea that I'm going to put a substance on myself and here's what happens. Maybe it'll be effective. Maybe it'll be really effective. So great.
That's impressive.
Great. Okay. So that was a great example. Roxanne, do you have a microphone? I know she had said she wasn't sure if she would her device.
You hear me?
One. Okay, great. Yep. We hear you. Did you use a sample?
Yep. I believe it's called Adaptive for stress.
Yeah.
And I am getting ready to take one of my boards, foundations, on Halloween. And so I'm in the midst of studying, and sometimes when I think about it, I become overwhelmed. My heart rate increases, and it's like, okay, do some breathing or something. Don't be overwhelmed. You can do this. And so when I would feel that, I would apply the Adaptive to my wrists and the back of my neck. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm feeling anything. So I would put my wrist up to my nose and inhale. Feel very, very calm. Very calm. I have a lot of experience with essential oils, and this one really amazed me. But I have to tell you, Julie, I was more amazed by the deep blue rub.
Oh yeah, I give you some deep blue rub for pain, right?
Yes, because I have golfer's elbow severely badly, almost to the point of not being able to function and take notes and stuff, and that has really, really helped. I apply a little heat after rubbing it in, and man, I'm back to taking hundreds of pages of notes again.
Awesome. Yeah, the deep blue rub, some people asked for 2 of the samples that we offered, so we gave them those 2. And if someone didn't ask for a second one, I said, well, I'm just going to give them deep blue rub because I'm sure either something hurts on them or someone they love, right? So I knew they would get used. And, deep blue, the deep blue blend of essential oils is so complex because in Chinese medicine, so for the other of you on the call, Roxanne is also in Oriental medicine like I am. So we do a lot with Chinese herbs, and we know the properties of all these plants already. So to find a blend that has things like peppermint, which is a cooling herb, and wintergreen, which is actually a warming herb, along with these other things like helichrysum and blue chamomile and osmanthus that are in that blend that help with pain relief, it's a really well-rounded blend because it's not just one thing doing one action. It's a blend of things doing a variety of actions that all work towards the same goal of relieving pain and inflammation. And applying heat was brilliant because the deep blue blend is actually a warming blend overall. If you look at all the herbs in it. And so it has that really penetrating pain relieving property for both joints and muscles, not just one or the other. And it's very long lasting, right? I mean, you use like a little pea-sized amount, right? And it lasts how long? Hours?
Hours, yeah. I'd apply it before going to bed, and it didn't bother me all night. I loved it.
Yeah. And that, to go back to the digest then, in the previous example too, that's another example of the essential oil blends being so powerful compared to just one herb or one oil even. So that DigestZen blend, it has peppermint and ginger in it, right? And the basics of herbology is going to tell you that peppermint is a cold herb and it will help certain stomach problems. And ginger is a hot herb and it will help certain other stomach problems. So to put the two in a blend together with a few other complementary digestive herbs is going to be powerful for so many digestive issues that I don't even have to differentiate necessarily before I can start helping the patient. Sure, I'll differentiate, next visit or whatever when we have more information. But for right now, I can give them DigestZen and have them start putting it on their stomach or even taking a drop internally. And they're going to have less heartburn and less stomach cramping and a less instance of IBS swings back and forth that day, right away, regardless of what their diagnosis in Western medicine is or their disease is or whatever you want to say. So that's how powerful they are, is experiencing them yourselves gives you kind of that I think, comfort level when you're sharing them with clients and patients of saying, I know this is just a bottle that smells good, but it's also a very powerful natural medicine. It's herbal medicine and it is going to work. And I know that. So starting with patients and clients can be kind of like a scary thing for a lot of practitioners. And that's a lot of the feedback that I've gotten is that. So I like to suggest starting passively. And that means simply just getting a diffuser and diffusing maybe that On Guard blend that attenuates influenza all winter in your office or your treatment rooms. Or maybe getting that On Guard it comes in a hand wash. Get that and put it in your bathrooms and let people kind of experience that smell or that effectiveness. Being able to give deep blue sample packets like I gave some of you for people to take home and start getting some pain relief right now without any side effects. These are all easy ways that you can almost treat your patients naturally without even interrupting their existing treatment plan. But once you're more comfortable and you are ready to start offering them options, this is something that one of my favorite pharmacists, she lives in Iowa, but she's a pharmacist and she uses essential oils with people who are coming in, giving them options, right? The point is just to give options. Like, you don't have to change your scope of practice and change away from whatever it was you studied and learned. You give those options too, of course, but give another option for those patients and clients who want a natural option that has no side effects and that can be something that they can maybe do more on their own rather than having to come into the office all the time. I know I'm an acupuncturist. I like having patients come in. Believe me, that's how I get paid in that regard. But also I want them to be healthier and I want them to be empowered and feel good and take actions every single day on their own between visits, between maybe monthly visits, let's say. So giving them those options is a thing that they can do in addition to or instead of an existing treatment plan. Being patient-centered means letting the patient choose and giving them more information about the side effects that they're having from maybe some of their previous treatment plans that might not be so hot. In order to feel comfortable using essential oils, you will want to get yourself a reference book. And I recommend the Modern Essentials reference book. It gives you an easy way to look up any condition that someone has, like, breast cancer or allergies, whatever it is. You can look it up and it'll tell you exactly which essential oils to use for that. And it will tell you exactly how to use them. So it'll say use topically or dilute 1 drop in a glass of water or something like that. So it's very easy, very specific reference book. It's not a book that you put in your bookshelf and read later when you have time. It's just a reference book that's out on your desk that you have open all the time. I actually have one in my treatment rooms and I have one in the waiting room because patients like to flip through it and see, oh my gosh, there's essential oil solutions for colitis. I had no idea, stuff like that. And then for those patients who are interested in these natural options, you can help them learn more because this is really education based. So you can either, as a practitioner, teach a monthly intro to essential oils class, which is easy in 45, 60 minutes. That's it. There's a handout for that I can give you that's very basic, that just goes through what essential oils are, how do you use them, how do you safely and effectively use them, what are the 3 ways, what are some common uses for them that you can try at home for things like sleep, nausea, stress, pain, digestive upset, headaches, right? Very, very common stuff. Or if you're not comfortable doing that or doing that yet, you can certainly refer those patients to a wellness advocate like me or Amanda or someone else that's around you that is doing these weekly or monthly classes that would be happy to educate and support people who are learning how to use the essential oils. Okay, so I know many of you already have essential oils and you already use them. If you do not, then I have ways to help you kind of get the ball rolling with that. So my suggestion, if you do not have and use essential oils already, is to begin with a starter kit, because it gives you kind of all the answers at once, and it takes away like the huge burden on you of what exactly do I need and how do I know exactly which oil to get. All the starter kits give you maybe top 10 oils-ish or more that are super versatile, that can handle almost any complaint that you could come up with, okay? There's also thousands of doses in there, because a bottle of essential oils is 15 milliliters and you use 1 drop at a time. They're so concentrated. So you literally would be getting thousands of doses with those 10 oil bottles. The way that I like to do it is a wholesale pricing option, because then you get 25% off everything anytime, but with no requirements to order ever again. And then you get in with all of our education and user support. Then once you're comfortable with your own basic kit, that's when you can kind of look at maybe putting a future order together that would outfit your office or your clinic, or an easy sample kit to give to patients. Like, here's some deep blue rub for your pain, or here's some lavender or serenity for your sleep, right? Sometimes I've worked with different hospital departments that actually have office reimbursement plans for wellness initiatives like this. So if you're willing to say, I'm going to buy a kit with a diffuser and 10 oils, and I'm going to do like they did with the nurses at Vanderbilt, I'm going to diffuse lemon and frankincense and make everybody focused and calm all day in our department, you can get reimbursed for that potentially. So that's something to ask about if you do work at an office or a larger company. There are things that you can do too to make it extremely affordable for yourself and for your patients and clients, to have this rewards program where you're earning 35%, or I'm sorry, another 30% back in rewards and free shipping, in addition to the 25% off. And that's why we like the wholesale option. So I know it's cutting off on my view. I'm not sure why my PowerPoint wasn't cutting off earlier, but now it's cutting off. So it says, show patients and clients how to get the same account that you have. That's all I do, guys. That's it. So I'm not in a model in my office of, I don't order things and then mark them up and then charge my patients more to buy them. I don't do that at all. It's just not something I'm comfortable with. I feel like if a patient's coming into my office for a service or a treatment, they're already paying me. I don't want to mark that up a supplement and have them pay me more for that. I know most people do it that way. That's the retail model. I just don't prefer it, okay? Because I have this other option, which is giving patients the same price that I pay. And then doTERRA pays me the difference. That's just more comfortable for me. I don't know. It's not right or wrong. There are a lot of clinics that operate on a retail model. You're going to get all these wholesale accounts at Standard Process and wherever, and then you're going to get all this inventory, and you're going to mark it all up and put it on a shelf, and then you're going to have the patient pay you the difference, right? And that's how you make money in your clinic. Fine. That's how a lot of people do it. I don't prefer that way. I prefer to simply have patients get the exact same wholesale account that I have, and then they get the same price that I do. Their stuff goes straight to their house, and then doTERRA gives me the difference in the pay, not the patient giving me the difference in the money for the markup, right? So that's why I like this model so much better than retail. You could certainly do this at retail if that's what you're more comfortable with. You could buy everything through your wholesale account and then put it on your shelf and mark it up and have your patients pay you the difference. That's totally fine. That's totally fine too. So there's different ways that you can integrate this and make this possible for your clients and patients. So to conclude, these are your next steps after this trial and you guys reporting back about your experiences with the samples, which it's kind of like a spoiler alert, but everybody's are always positive. So I'm really glad that you all had really positive responses too. That's the usual reaction, because they are so powerful and so effective. In just 1 or 2 uses, you can usually see these differences, right? So we will follow up with you about your samples. If there was anything else that you wanted to try to address or look into, what the essential oil answer to your issue would be, we can help you figure that out. You can either choose from one of the preset starter kit options, or you can create your own starter kit, but there is a $35 fee for doing that. And then I highly suggest getting a Modern Essentials reference book, which you can get on Amazon. It's usually like $25 to $35, depending on the edition that you choose. So That's the best book, in my opinion, for use in the clinic. And then just try 1 or 2 things and get started yourself, you know, which you guys have already done. You've already tried it for 1 or 2 things. So that's easy. You've already kind of done steps 1 and 3 there, right? If you are interested in getting your kit, then the next step would be for you to meet with Amanda or meet with me and do what's called a Live Guide meeting, which is really where we go through this beautiful purple brochure kind of thing about a schedule and a plan of protocols. So it'll help you remember what you want to do every morning and what you want to do every afternoon, what you want to do every night before you go to sleep to support all of these wellness goals that you have for yourself. If you like that idea and you like essential oils and you're using them and you're talking about them with your patients and you'd like to learn more about how to actually earn that income from doTERRA for having your patients get their own accounts or selling them retail, whichever model you like better, then we have another meeting that's a beautiful green folder, and it's called the Build Guide, and it walks you through exactly how we earn commission through doTERRA and how that works too. And then my biggest, I guess, suggestion for everyone who's interested in any element of the research of the science like I am is to keep yourself abreast of the research. There is so much coming out all the time. It's so interesting. It's very interesting read. So there's 2 websites. One is more, one is pubmed.gov, which you're probably all familiar with. So that's your more scholarly database clearinghouse. And then aromaticscience.com it's another smaller scale clearinghouse of different journal articles and different studies. So it's all also academic research, but it's in like more of a website, general public, easy to use format compared to PubMed. So, and it's all just articles about essential oils in the research. So a little bit easier and a little bit more streamlined for people just getting started with the research. Okay, so those are my my recommendations, and if anyone has any questions now, you're more than welcome to ask them, or you can certainly follow up with us afterwards. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add or ask at this point?
Yeah, I'd like to get some more Deep Blue.
Yeah, right. They sell that stuff in a big old giant tube, and also they sell it in like a liter pump now because like a bunch of athletic teams and stuff started using it. So they put it in a big giant pump. It's just, you can't get enough, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll message you about how you can get Deep Blue at your best price.
Love
That's
it.
an easy one. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to add?
I think so.
Just thank you for putting this webinar on. It was very informative, very good. You didn't seem nervous at all.
I'm the teacher at heart. It just comes out, you know. I love teaching classes and I love research, and it is something that I really enjoy. I end up spending a lot of time with patients in their visits talking about all their options and the research, and you know, sometimes for them it's like too much information, so I try to customize my presentations to the audience. And I love doing like the healthcare provider ones or presenting at hospitals, because I know the people are truly interested in the medicine and in the research, and it's not just me telling them they should be interested in the science and the research like you already are. So it's great.
I really appreciate that aspect also, Julie, just, and I know when we were together in Nicaragua, one of the things that just was glaring to me is I feel like I have a niche market with moms, and just, you know, very experiential use, you know, swapping stories about kids and stuff like that. But I really do feel like empowering those moms is great, but it's a whole different thing to have the science to support that. And like, I'm comfortable knowing that the science is there, but I love that you are able to clearly, yeah, I don't know, like put that into words, and like to people who are more, you know, scientifically minded or medically trained. So thank you for putting all that together. It really was fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you. And, you know, again, working with you in Nicaragua too at the clinic was outstanding, because it really brings to light that a lot of our own personal experiences are meaningful. They're not just personal experiences. They give you that background and that comfort level to say, okay, I've read this, I looked this up in the reference book, it says to use this. Maybe that sounds crazy to someone who's never used an essential oil before, but I know that X, Y, and Z already worked, so I'm confident in trying it with this patient. And it was, you know, it was very effective, right, across the board. So I don't mind presenting to any group. I do hospitals, I do mom groups too. I'll talk to anyone who wants to learn about natural medicine. And I think there's a little bit of stigma around it still, which I would like to help dispel. And that's why I tell everyone I can about how great they are as an option and how effective natural medicine can be. So thanks everyone for coming. Really appreciate your time tonight and your time using your samples and following along with the trial. And we will be in touch with what you'd like to do to move forward.
Thank you so much, Julie. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming.
You, Julie.
Have a great night,
You
everyone.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.